Welcome to our masterclass regarding the Yorker. With me is Nasser Hussain, the former England captain and batsman. Nasser, define the Yorker for me.
Well, a Yorker, Bish, is basically a ball that lands somewhere near this white line called the popping crease. It is where the batter stands. Generally, that's where they straddle that white line. And what the bowlers try to do is come in and get it as close to that line, as close to the bottom of your bat as they can. The reason they do that, because it's very difficult to get underneath. Mainly used in white ball cricket as a defensive tactic, but it's also used quite a bit in red ball cricket when maybe there's a bit of reverse swing going around.
Go into the impact of not being able to get under the ball from a batting perspective, and so important for myself as a bowler.
Well, batsmen, when batting in test match cricket, the length ball out there becomes a danger ball because it moves around. In white ball cricket, that ball, actually what we define as the slot, bounces up to the middle of the bat. So it gives you good leverage to hit the ball from the middle of the bat as it bounces up, and it's got so many areas you can hit that ball to. When it's bouncing here, the middle of the bat almost goes out of play because it's always hitting the toe of the bat. In our era, when people like Waqar and Wasim were hitting that hole constantly, we don't have the fancy shots they have now, so we were constantly just getting it away. And also captains can set a really good feel to it because they know, or they used to know, where you can hit the Yorker at best.
And the volume of runs that are derived from missing that length and hitting that length are what?
Well, if you look at a Hawkeye example that we've got, and look at the difference between the slot, the strike rates, the slot, when you get your length, what you'd like in test match cricket, at 229, that strike rate. But if you get it absolutely spot on where the batter is standing, that strike rate drops to 92. That is a huge difference between winning a game and losing a game. So if you can get it right here, the batsman can't do much about it. If you get it wrong, you usually disappear out the park.
Oh, yes. What a way to end a cricket match. Perfect Yorkers at searing pace. Bang, bang goes Bumrah.
What about as a bowler, Bish? How difficult to hit this line consistently, and when do you go for that delivery?
That's a good question. We've got a couple of balls down here. I'll just use one of these. First of all, your grip, whether you, Nasser, as a bowler, want to try to execute the Yorker with a seamer positions. A lot of bowlers now are holding it cross seam to get better traction on it. And I think the first thing, we hear a number of bowlers like Lasith Malinga practicing bowling at a shoe which would have been placed where your feet would be straddling that line, or other bowlers would aim at the crease line. Some would aim, Nasser, at the base of a stump or halfway up the stump. But you must know and practice where you're releasing the ball to have some feel in order to know where do I release this. Very, very important.
Would you drop your arm at all? You mentioned Malinga there. I played with Darren Gough, who was a brilliant Yorker bowler. Is that helpful, that sort of slightly more slingy action?
It could be, because the margins for error for someone like a Lasith Malinga would be less. It'll be sort of a flat trajectory going down, whereas you've still got great guys who would deliver it from high and create a steeper angle. But again, it's something that has to be practiced assiduously, because not many folks can bowl it consistently.
And the reason it has to be practiced, and those margin of errors you mention, is because if you get it wrong, then nowadays the modern player has these funky shots where they can hit you 360. So they can get out in front, coming to land here. Someone like a Butler or De Villiers immediately, I think Dilshan started it with the Dill scoop, they get it before it bounces. Now you think that's going to hit you straight in the head. I would not recommend this shot without a helmet on. And it flies over there. So you put a man back there and they do that. And then they go back in their crease. So a ball that was landing there, you now can get under and hit. Then they go this way, they go that way. They've got so many shots. And that's why, if I can borrow the ball, that's why the game has changed. Right? In my day, sorry to talk about my day, but that used to be your Yorker box. With that margin of error you talked about, that was your mark. Whoa, stop. Okay. So nowadays, because of the change in regulations, anything down the leg side is a wide. So these deliveries come in. Right? Because now batsmen are going back in their crease, these deliveries are now length. And because batsmen are scooping like Buttler and de Villiers, these deliveries now come. So you remember that original box that was really wide? That box now, you have to hit that. Otherwise, de Villiers, Kohli, Dhoni are smashing you all over the place. And if you go back to that original Hawkeye of strike rates, that's perfect. You get it wrong against Rishabh Pant or MS Dhoni or Virat Kohli, they will smash you out the ground.
So it's an additional layer of difficulty. If he moves back, my Yorker's got to be fuller. If he's line, my Yorker's got to be slightly shorter. Let's have a look at some of the great examples of the Yorker and it just being on target in terms of line. A little bit full, but it gets through because of pace. Bang on target, you get your success. Batsmen will come down, so it's just a little bit shorter of that length. And as you said, Nasser Hussain, they try to scoop. A Yorker is gold if you can get it spot on. So, great example of the box getting smaller and bigger in modern day cricket.
And the other thing that's changed in modern day cricket is they now use two of these, two white balls. So when we used to just use one, it used to reverse swing. So I mentioned Waqar and Wasim, that great final, was it 92 World Cup final? Wasim got it reverse swinging. That gives you just that bit of movement. And that ball at 90 mile an hour is swinging. It is so difficult to play these funky shots because by the time you go down, the ball has cramped you or moved away. With two white balls, it doesn't quite do as much at the end. So those examples you showed of Bumrah and everyone else, they are absolutely spot on. A world-class Yorker bowler will get into any white ball side just for nailing his Yorkers.